Hi, it's Hillbilly Tanya again, and look, we are back to our Stargazing quilt. You will remember that I created this quilt to teach you all how to create diamonds using hexagons by placing a triangle at each end of the hexagon so that you create a cool diamond, which you can use in stars and other designs. You can look at my previous Stargazing video to see other diamond patterns that you can do in your quilting. But I created Stargazing because I thought that this was a very good beginner project to use, and it's a lot of fun. You get to learn a lot of fussy cutting, and it's just a lot of fun, but it's only got a few pieces, so it's great to do. All right, starting with mine, let's look at yardage requirements. For the background, you're going to need 1.33 yards. That's the dark blue butterflies in my pattern. For the circle, you need 1 yard. And don't worry, later I will teach you how to make the circle. And you'll need 1 yard of that, which is white on mine. And then the fussy cut areas, I cannot tell you a yardage on that, but you really need to look at your repeats. There are 6 triangles repeated in the middle, so that would need to be 6 repeats. There are 6 more triangles on the outside. You can use the same one as the middle, in which case you would need 12 repeats, or you can use something different. I'm going to use something different in my next one. This one I use the same fabric, and my next one it's going to be a little bit different. And then of the large diamond, you need 6 repeats, and the small diamond, I did not fussy cut on this one, but I could have. And if you're going to fussy cut, you need 12 small repeats of that one. I think I'm going to fussy cut my next one, my next diamond, so you can see what that is like. All right, so I will put the yardage requirements in the description so that you can have those later when you're not watching. Let's get right on to a reminder of my fabric. If you'll recall, I'm using this beautiful Autumn Harvest by Jason Yenter for my fabric. Let's zoom in on it just a little bit so you can see it a little better and watch me work today. I'm using this beautiful fabric. It's got a lot of oranges and burgundy and greens, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So that's my background. And then this is my orange that I'm using for my circle that I will be doing some embroidery on. We'll teach you that in a later video. And so that brings us to our fussy cutting in the middle. If you'll look at the pattern again, you will notice that this middle here comes all together, and it makes a great area to fussy cut. So I like to fussy cut this area, this area, this area, and possibly these diamonds right here. So let's look at what I come up with today. For these center triangles, I'm going to use this fabric. I'm going to turn it the right side out first to just talk about it with you. When I'm working on my design process, I actually turn all my fabric upside down, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I wanted to show you, when I'm looking at it, I wanted to think about my design. If you'll remember that I have orange on the background. So for my middle one, it's okay to have some orange. But once I get to these outer diamonds or triangles, I am not going to want to have orange fabric because that's going to be right up against an orange background. So, oh, by the way, I always include a coloring sheet in my patterns, so it's a good idea to go ahead and color it up so you can remember what you're doing when you're in the middle of your design process. So keeping in mind, I do not want any orange here, but it's okay if I have it here. Let's look at what I come up with. When I saw this, I was looking at, I love the circles. When you fussy cut circles, they make some really fun designs. But I don't want orange in the outer part, so orange is perfect to use in the middle. And I also love this lace work. I think the lace work looks really, really pretty. And I was just curious. I never actually, I'm kind of odd about this, I don't actually do one and see how it looks. I actually make all of them up, and keep it a surprise to myself how it looks in the end. Sometimes I've had to rip a few out, but most of the time I'm actually pleasantly surprised, and I have so much fun in the surprise and playing the game to see how it turns out. Okay, so I want to start in the middle, and I know that I can use some orange, more orange in the middle than I can on the outside. Let's flip this over because I have to work from the back side. And you need a triangle and a glue pen, glue stick, a sewing glue stick. We talked about that in the last video. And when I'm working, I want to look around for points that I can touch, that I can stick my triangle to, and make sure that if I put it that point there, will I find a spot that I can put a point there and put a point there, so that I can always line it up 6 times, because whatever I do, I'm going to want to repeat it 6 times. And actually that spot right there is actually pretty good. There's a little point there, a little point there, and a little point there. But I kind of cheated and I put a piece of tape here. What I actually did, I was playing around with it and decided I wanted this burgundy right in the middle. And so here are the points I ended up with. I took that and placed it, I always got to put my glue on there first. I placed it right there where those two come together. There's a little white dot, and I placed it there. And I placed it right at the top. You see this little line area? I placed it right at the top there. And I placed it right at the top of the next one there. So in all 3 of them, they're placed right where I can find it time and time again. And when I got done with that one and had a little play around with it, I had so much fun seeing what the end outcome was. Sorry, I just shook the camera. Here is what it looks like once I glued it. Isn't that pretty? I know that it just looks like a couple circles to you, but let's have some play with it. What if, when you have your triangles, what if I placed it so those edges are in the middle? Look at that. Look at that fussy cut design. Can you see that? Doesn't that make a really neat design? Really cool. I'm not actually going to do that on this one, but it is a lot of fun. What I'm actually going to do is sew it together like this. And that's how the center of my quilt will look once I have it all sewn together. So that is a lot of fun, isn't it? All right, now for the next ones, same, I'm still doing triangles, and I need to do the outer portion of my design. Now, once again, these cannot be orange because they're going to be touching up a lot of orange against a lot of orange. So I definitely wanted to use either green or burgundy on that one. They do not have to be fussy cut as perfect unless you want to. I went ahead and fussy cut them perfectly because I wanted to show you what other designs this fabric could make with these circles, and I think it's fun to play with fabric, so I went ahead and fussy cut them perfectly. Here is the section that I ended up cutting or gluing. When I was looking at this fabric, I really liked the light color for that outer portion. First I had to look at the centers of all of these, but then I thought, oh, I really like the light cream color. I don't have cream in any other section of this quilt, and I really like the cream. So I played around using my, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I know that was a big bump. But I played around using my triangle a whole lots of times. And when I ended up finishing, I decided that I just really, really liked the green and then the green scroll and the cream, how it all comes together right here. So once again, I took my triangle and I placed it somewhere where I could repeat the pattern. And I actually started with it right there in the middle of that design there. And then I went out to the point of that and the point of that. And I was able to repeat that 6 times very easily by just lining up exact points that I could find each and every time. And when I am doing this, I glue them one right after the other. I just move my fabric glue, move my fabric glue, move my fabric glue. That way I'm not having a hard time finding it. I glue it and then I know immediately to move, you know, several inches down the fabric and find the exact same spot. Let me show you my fabric that's finished, what it looks like once I've cut all those little pieces out of it. This is all the triangle pieces, yes, the triangle pieces that I've cut out of this fabric. You can see lots of little holes in there. Holes everywhere through the fabric. Big hole there, big hole there. But there is so much more fabric still to be used. There's still a ton left. And that's what's neat about English paper piecing. Everybody always says that it's wasteful, but I don't see how at all it's wasteful, because I can get down to the tiniest sections that are left over and still find fussy cut opportunities even in little teeny tiny leftover pieces. So I never did show you how I finished up that one. So let's see. Once I told you, remember I told you I wanted the cream and the scroll. Let's look at that. If I was going to place them all together, this is how it would come out. Look at that. Does that look cool or what? Can you see that? Does that look neat? Now, I'm not actually going to place them all together because they will be the top of my design. So they will go right up top like that. But they really are fun to look at and play with. And if I had more time, I'd have to play around with this fabric some more and make some more neat designs out of it. All right, once I got that part of the project done, and I looked at my fabric, and I thought, oh, I don't really see anything. I'm trying to pull my fabric back up here without them stepping on it. I don't really see anything that I like for the great big diamond area. I just really don't see anything that would look really cool for a fussy cut there. So I went back to my stash and I looked at the border print for this fabric. And look at this. Look at this neat design. Oop, bumped the camera again. Sorry. You guys are going to get seasick watching me today. All right. See the grapes and the fruit? I thought, okay, those would be the perfect triangles for the middles. So I made them. Here they are. Here is a piece of fruit. I made 3 of those, and some grapes, and I made 3 of those. I did not have enough to make 6 of each, so I thought I would just do 3 of each and do every other one all the way around my star pattern. So that was really pretty. All right, so when I got done with those, I decided, all right, what am I going to do for my little diamonds right here? They touch each other, and I like them to be fussy cut. I don't always do it. I didn't do it on the last pattern, but what if I fussy cut them on this one? And I was looking at this fabric, and I really enjoyed, I'm going to hold it up for you to see, I really enjoyed the purple. I love how that looks. It's absolutely beautiful. See that purple in there? And I decided that my small diamonds would be made out of that purple. I'm going to put that on the white background so you can see it better. See the small diamonds? And so when I place two of those together, like in the pattern, look at that. Isn't that pretty? So that is what I ended up doing for the purple. So sometimes when I'm in the midst of design, I do something totally different than I thought I was going to do. And my next piece will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Next we have the solids. This portion here and this portion here. You don't have to use solids. So first I was going to use these two tonals that matched the fabric. And I was playing with them and they were nice, but here's what I was looking at when I was doing them. I decided that as well as this, as well as wherever my diamonds went, these and the other triangles, just, oops, you can't even see it. Let's move it up a little more. There we go. I decided they were just a little too busy. In fact, a lot too busy. And I know I have solid on the outside of the pattern right here. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to have solid touch solid. But I just really thought this was way too busy. I do not want to put my beautiful fussy cuts up next to something so busy and not have it seen. So, plan B, I took those away. And I grabbed me a Modern Solids Jelly Roll by Jason Yenter. And the reason I really like these a lot is, number one, I use a lot of Yenter, so they match a lot of what I do. But he also places all the colors in there. So if you need to find the color later and you want to do, like, say, your binding or another border out of a solid, you know what color you're using. On a lot of the jelly rolls don't tell you the colors, and he actually matches it up for you. So that is really cool. Here's the strip, the roll, or part of the roll, because it just fell apart. There's part, here's the other part. I actually took it apart to find the pieces I need. And what I ended up doing was I decided that I really like this green here. And it looks nice with both the outer colors, and it will also look nice with all the other colors that I chose. So I already took care of those, and I have 12 half hexagons already made out of this green. So then I was trying to figure out, okay, what other color out of the jelly roll would I want that I like with it? And I traded the purples and the rusts, and I didn't like them, and I ended up pulling out this really light green, and I just really liked that. To me, it just gave it needed something light. It needed a little bit of light in there, and it does look nice with the background. It looks nice with the greens over there, so I decided to go with the light. Now I wanted to show you real fast how to baste a whole row when you're not fussy cutting, when you're just doing a whole bunch of the exact same one. So I did not actually baste my light green ones yet because I wanted to show you just real quickly. I just do them. Make sure you do the back side of the fabric. You can tell that usually by the little dots on the selvage. So basting to the back side of the solid is harder to find. Maybe you like the front side better, so whichever. Alright, what I'm going to do is place one there about 1/4 of an inch from the outside edge, so that it's just 1/4 of an inch. I've already got my seam allowance right there. Then the next one, I place the other direction about 1/2 inch, so that when apart 1/2 inch from that one, still 1/4 of an inch from the outside, a 1/2 inch in that one, so that when I cut these apart, I just cut it right down between, and my seam allowance is right there. And I just work my way through them, going up and down, eyeballing it. You don't have to measure it in paper piecing. Remember that from my last video. You just have to eyeball it. Go up and down, and you can go the entire length, or you can turn around and start back up here at the top. I usually just go the entire length because I may want that other length for something else later. So if I'm going to chop off this portion, I just keep following my 1/4 an inch all the way down to the end until I have all 12 of them completed. And then once I do that, I usually take it over to my rotary cutter. I cut right along here, cut that whole row, and then I just take my rotary cutter right in between, eyeball it, cut it, eyeball it, cut it. As long as you get close to 1/4 of an inch, you are good to glue, and you can do it just like I did on my last video. So those are the colors I've chosen for my stargazing, but I did want to tell you, I promised you that I would start showing you a new fabric each time I do a video, because I have so much fabric and it's so much fun to see what they will do. So let's get modern for a moment. Let's forget about Mr. Yinter's fabric there, although he has a lot of modern ones out there. And let's look at this. Anybody love that out there? Or is there, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a lot of fun. And there's just so many modern fabrics out there that are so wild looking. But once you play with them, look at the fun you have. I took and I cut some of I went ahead and did some triangles for you in case I ever want to make this pattern again or any other similar. And look at the center I was able to make using that fabric. And then I went ahead and cut 6 more triangles, and look at that. I have not sewn that together, but look at that. Wow, right? Those were both made from that fabric in the background. So never discount fabric. Even if you think it's too wild, look at what that came up with. That's just absolutely beautiful, and it's so much fun. And I'm going to have to find the perfect pattern for that fabric. I haven't figured out what I'm going to make with these 2 pieces yet. I'll have to think on it a while. I only have a small little piece of fabric. This is all I have. I just cut off a little tiny portion, that much, to make both of those. So I'll have to play around with it. But what's fun about fussy cutting and English paper piecing, you don't have to have a ton of fabric to have a lot of fun and make some really cool designs out of it. So anyway, have a lot of fun picking out your fabrics and gluing them together so that you can make your very own stargazing project. And my next video, I will teach you about sewing and how to whip stitch. And we'll get going on whip stitching our stargazing project together. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.